cut the dry skin, the crust, all around the edges here. And then we can peel this off or peel it back. Now there are 2 or 3 ways to prevent or minimize this dried crust skin. Okay, and I never like to throw ink into the waste can without folding up the paper, so that if I push my hand or step on it with my foot, it doesn't get transferred. Okay, I think we're good here. Notice I did not dig a deep hole into the ink can. You always want to keep the top surface pretty much flat, uniform. Let me get a rag here. Maybe I should be wearing gloves, but I don't think I'll need gloves. Okay. Let's take a look at our warm red ink from 2006, and of course it too has a crust on it. So once again, we want to cut around the edge of the hard crust skin, peel the ink back, and try to scrape this out of here. You want to get under it. Okay. I just forgot, I was in the middle of a thought and I didn't finish my thought. There are some ways that we can prevent or minimize that dry skin crust. And what makes the ink dry is oxygen in the air. So you could buy these to fit a 1 pound diameter can ink. Once you got all the skin removed, you would take this paper, wax paper, push it down, and that would prevent any air from hitting the ink and making it dry. The other thing we could do here is use this anti-skin spray, and we would spray a film layer onto the can, and that would help prevent it. So you might still get a crust, a skin, but it won't be hard and brittle. It'll be more softer and pliable. It looks like that was done here on this red, but not on the yellow. And again, if you leave any of this crust skin in here, that could show up in your printing as a print defect. Okay, I think we're pretty good here on the warm red. Okay, so there was no lid on this can. There was a lid here. Now the black should be fine because we use this frequently in class. The lid comes off easily, so that means we did a good job cleaning the outer rim and the inner lid. And this ink here is fine. No indication of any kind of a skin or a crust. But just to be sure, I'll do that. And then my last and fourth ingredient is the transparent white, which is basically ink without any pigment. Because there's no pigment, it's transparent or clear, which means it's basically a varnish. Um, 2006 on this. Now this is very hard, very crusty. Again, we're going to try to cut this. Now, all these oil-based inks that dry by oxidation, polymerization, have a pretty short length and a pretty stiff body to them. That is not the case with the transparent white. The transparent white is not short, it's long, and it's not stiff, it's loose. I don't know if you can see this, but it could almost pour. So if I took this ink and turned it upside down, it would not flow or pour. If I took this ink and turned it upside down, it would not pour or flow. If I took this ink and put it down upside down, it would not pour or flow. But the transparent white will readily and easily flow or pour. That means that it's going to reduce the ink's physical properties. It won't be short and stiff, it'll be long and loose, and that might be a problem on press. So an option might be to not put as much transparent white in, but to put a stiffening varnish in. Okay, so let's tear this. This pan here is not, oh, there was a lid here, I apologize. This pan here is not large enough to hold the ink that I want to mix. So I'm going to take this lightweight plastic, put it on here. It weighs 49 grams. We're going to tear that out. And now we're ready to start doing our mixing. Now the question becomes, I know my ingredients from my recipe and formula, and I know the percentages, their weights, but what's the order that I mix these in? I like to go from the least to the most, and this one is really important, the transparent white, because this is going to pour and it's going to flow. So if I do that first, it's just going to run right off the weighing pan. So we want to do this last. All right? Okay. So let's come on over. Let's go ahead and do the black first. So what we're going to do here, once again, we're just going to mix the grams per the Pantone book. So I want 10 grams of black. Now usually black is very little because just a little bit will make the ink very dark. So I'm tapping the ink onto the plastic green pan, and we want this to measure 10 grams. Now remember, a brown is an orange that is dark. So how do you make an orange with a yellow and a red? Once you've got your orange, yellow, and red, then you would add black to make it darker, which makes it a brown. So right now I have 11.2 grams, which is too much, so I have to scrape some of this off. 10.8, still not close enough. Scrape a little bit more off. Now very, very close, but still just slightly over. 10.2, 10.1, 9.97 is, excuse me, 10.3 is close enough, good enough. Okay, we'll clean this up later. So now, my next ingredient is going to be the warm red, and we want 20 grams of that. So all I need to do here is tear this back out again and put 20 grams of the warm red on. Again, this ink is very short and stiff. It doesn't come off the knife. $20 grams here. That's about half of what I need. That should be about the other half. Too much. Still slightly